What's going on, guys? It's your boy Agen back again for another Alice Fiction video, and welcome to the Metaverse of Alice. And for today, I will be rating all the 1-star units. Yes, you heard me right, guys. Take note that these ratings are for the 1-star units only. It does not mean that if I rate a unit at S tier, that unit is better on the other units, rarities like the 2 stars and the 3 stars. So let us go to my Excel sheet here. So I make this list to have a better insight on who are the 1-star units that are worth investing your resources. Also, this list is purely based on my opinions and my opinions alone. You may agree or disagree with me and it's fine. So take it with a grain of salt. Anyways, let's begin. The list is arranged in alphabetical order. So first on the list is Andersen. So Andersen is a B tier in PvE and A tier in PvP. Her crush skill is a pseudo AoE that can hit 3 enemies. Her skill 1 can decrease physical attack of 2 high physical attack enemies and also decrease their physical defense, which is pretty good. Her S2 can decrease the special attack of the 2 enemies with the highest special attack, while also decreasing their special defense. So she is a defense breaker for physical and special attacker. Her passive is pretty good since she can decrease the special defense and physical defense of 4 enemies, which is pretty good in PvP. That is why I rate her at A tier on PvP. She is pretty good in PvP. She is a very good budget debuffer. I rated her higher in PvP because she can cleave and her AoE debuff is pretty good to have. Okay, and then next on the list is we have Andromeda. Andromeda is C tier in both PvE and PvP. Sadly. Andromeda is a buffer unit. She buffs your team's defensive stats like the physical defense and special defense. These buffs are okay, but they are not the best defensive buffs in my honest opinion. I believe that barriers that has damage mitigation and taunt are the best defensive buff that you can ask for. So I am rating her at C tier both in PvE and PvP. Next on the list we have Benk. A tier in both PvE and PvP. Benk's kit is pretty good for a 1-star unit. She is somewhat like a budget Perseus since she can taunt, but with a different utility of attack bind on one enemy for 2 turns. Attack bind is most commonly known as silence in most games. And silence is pretty good since enemies cannot use their skills, which is a pretty good utility in PvP, right? That is why I gave her the A tier treatment. Next on the list we have Bismarck. B tier in PvE but A tier in PvP. He is somewhat similar to Andersen, whose kit is pretty good in PvP, and Bismarck can AoE debuff the P attack and P defense of the enemies, which is pretty strong in PvP. And because we have most of the DPS, the best DPS in our lineup right now are usually physical attackers, and Bismarck's debuff to the enemies are pretty beneficial to the physical attackers in the game. Next on the list we have Captain Drake. Captain Drake is A tier in PvE and B tier in PvP. She is a glass cannon. She has selfish crit rate buff and crit damage buff. That is why she hits pretty hard but at the expense of reducing her HP as well. She's pretty good in PvE but not so much in PvP. Next we have Galen. A tier in PvE and C tier in PvP. Galen is a budget healer, which is pretty nice to have in PvE. She will find some uses in PvE but in PvP, just don't bring her there. I use her in my Musashi focus team since I don't have Hippocrates, and she is an okay healer. If you don't have those top tier healers, then Galen is a pretty good substitute for them. She is pretty great in PvE. Next, we have Gills. Gills or Giles. Beacher in both PvE and PvP. Her buffs are pretty decent, but they are just decent. She's best used in a mono earth team, in my honest opinion. That is her kit. Her kit revolves around building a team for a mono earth team. Beacher. Next, we have probably the worst 1-star unit. Jack the Ripper. Teacher in both PvE and PvP. Jack the Ripper is kinda niche since her kit works best when dealing on enemies that is afflicted by status ailments. So you need to bring a lot of some units in your team that can inflict status ailments, and Jack the Ripper will benefit for those. But that is a waste of team slot in your team building. That is why I believe Jack the Ripper is the worst 1-star unit in the game. That is just my opinion, guys. Next, we have Matters. Matters or Mothers. Ager in PvE and Beacher in PvP. Mothers is pretty good in PvE because she can convert her own panel into a skill panel. Panel conversion is pretty good in PvE, but not so much in PvP. In PvP, you might want to slot in units that can either cleave or AoE debuff. That is why I rated her at Beacher in PvP, but she is pretty good in PvE because in PvE there's you can also always bring a single target DPS. Usually you're fighting a boss monster. She is good in PvE, but in PvP where you are fighting always a 4 enemy, a cleaver is much better and an AoE debuffer, in my honest opinion. Next, we have Niu, the poster girl of Alice fiction. Ager in both PvE and PvP. Just like Mothers, Niu can convert panels with added utility of buffing herself and her teammate with the highest attack. She also has a pseudo AoE crush skill since she can damage 2 enemies. And her passive is easily activated in PvP. That is why I gave her the A rating in PvP. Next, we have Robin Hood. Do you guys like Shota? Then Robin Hood is for you guys. Beacher in PvE and Seacher in PvP. His buff is okay in PvE and his passive is pretty good if you build a team around him. But sadly, those are not good enough in PvP, and thus, he is Seacher in PvP. Next, we have Scipio. Is Scipio a boy or a girl? I can't tell, lamaw. Anyways, I always thought Scipio is a female. Look at her. But it seems that he is a boy. Maybe I got debated. I don't know. Anyway, Scipio is S tier in PvE, guys. S tier. The only 1-star unit at the S tier in my rankings. And B tier in PvP. Scipio is really good in PvE because of the AoE barrier that can mitigate a set amount of damage, which is pretty good against hard-hitting bosses and in the underground mode. Not only that, Scipio can lengthen the panel breaking pace, allowing you to get more damage output while reducing damage taken to your 2 allies. Even though Scipio's kit is really good in PvE, it's not that good in PvP. Scipio's kit is a defensive kit, and the only defensive unit that is well suited for PvP is Perseus or units that can taunt. It might be better to just put a unit that can either cleave or apply AoE debuffs rather than put a defensive unit like Scipio. That is just my opinion on him regarding the PvP ratings. And last on the list is Wayland. Beacher in both PvE and PvP. Wayland is a defensive unit that has defensive buffs. And that's it. There are way better options, that is why she is at Beacher in both PvE and PvP. And that's all about for my 1-star tier list. Do not underestimate 1-star units. Some of them are really good. And I hope you guys will find this list useful. Anyways, that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you could help me grow my channel more. And thank you to everyone who are supporting my channel. I appreciate every one of you. Until next time, peace!